On the next Montel, the most shocking video you'll ever see. Now, hear the stories behind it. A man is pushed to his death. Find out what happened from the man who pushed him.
He was so drunk. I didn't think, I just reacted.
The victim of this random act of violence forgives his attacker.
You just reinstilled my faith in people.
Plus, a teenager's stunt goes horribly wrong. And meet the skier who survived this. Don't go away. That's coming up right now on Montel.
Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today. You know, today we're going to meet some amazing guests whose stories were all caught on tape. And we're going to begin with a story about an inebriated man who was trying his best to get on a bus, but he was making it difficult for everybody else that was around. Now, I want you to take a look at this, but keep your eye on the man that's wearing the checkered shirt. Take a look at this.
No, I'm not going Broadway. Get out the bus. I'm not going Broadway. You got the wrong bus, bro. You take the foot out so you can hear. You got the wrong bus.
You need to get off the bus.
No. Don't come on the bus. You don't know where you're going. Get off the bus.
Oh, man.
Don't do like that.
Get off the bus, buddy.
Now, really, while you guys are watching this, I want you to take a look at the other customers that are going to get on this bus. Now, if you notice, that man was just pushed off the bus and onto the ground. He is out cold. All the other people standing in line are just stepping over this person, not offering any assistance. Is this our humanity to man? I get the guy was, look at this guy, he just kicked his leg out the way. Now he moves him out the way.
He's lying down on the side. Breathing, man.
He does have a pulse.
He's got a pulse and he's breathing, but he's not moving.
And his eyes are open, his eyes are moving, he is fine. He is safe.
Now, I don't know if you can hear this, but they're saying he's fine. Get the bus moving.
I'm not moving. I can't move.
The bus driver said, I can't move because he's not moving, and the people are mad at the bus driver. Now, I mean, just stop for a second and think about what you just witnessed. Because that just took place at a bus stop in a city in America. And a guy pushes another guy who was obviously in the way. He looked inebriated. I think you could see that. Looked very inebriated. But he's pushed off the bus. And how many people just stepped over him and didn't even care? Please welcome Dan Connor to the show. Welcome in. Thanks for being here, and I will tell you that it takes a lot of courage to come out here on national television to talk about this. I don't know if do you guys recognize who Dan is? Who's Dan? Anybody can throw it out. The guy that was laying down? No, he's not the guy that was laying down. Let's back up and take a look right here. Look right here. He's the guy who pushed him. And now let me explain something to you. The man who fell on the ground died 5 days later. And Dan was then charged initially with what?
Homicide.
First degree, well, not first degree murder, but murder. And they then changed that to?
Well, they were trying to charge me with first-degree manslaughter or second-degree manslaughter.
Let's stop for a second. Now, everybody, I've got people's attention in multiple ways. Let's back up. You were waiting at the bus stop with a friend of yours.
She was a roommate of mine at the time.
Roommate of yours at the time. This man came up to the bus stop.
Yes.
Completely intoxicated, inebriated or something. We don't know what he was on, but he was out, right?
Well, what I found out later on through a discovery, what they call in court, I had his autopsy papers. He had 0.34 alcohol level and had some, I think, muscle tranquilizers in his system.
So he was loaded.
Very much so, yeah.
At the bus stop, was as belligerent as anybody could be. Is that
Yes.
the right characterization?
Definitely.
Why don't you, without using the curse words and things, can you say to them what he did? Just paint a picture of that bus stop.
Well, you gotta understand, this is a Saturday night, downtown Minneapolis. The bars are getting out. I had a few drinks from my job, so I was definitely buzzed up also. And the mood was, it was hot, it was steamy, and everyone was just kind of angry-like. And
Angry waiting for the bus.
exactly. People are drunk, they want to go home. And he comes around and he's bothering everybody, going up to people. You couldn't really understand what he's saying. He slurred every word he said. He called my roommate a name, and she almost got into it with him. I told him to leave, and this is before the bus even came.
Okay. So then when the bus pulled up, what he did initially was he stepped in that doorway and wouldn't let anybody on the bus.
Yes, he wanted to go to Broadway, but the bus is going towards St. Paul.
So he argued with the bus driver. The argument's going on. The bus drivers kept telling him to move aside. Then people started moving him aside.
Yeah.
Right? So you weren't the first person to step by him like this tape kind of. So, okay, so a lot of people stepped by him. You stepped up there on the bus. Can we go back to that one clip again, please? Show it one more time. And I hate to make you relive this again, but I want to look at something because I mentioned this myself. Take a look again at the man in the checkered shirt. And here comes Dan. Dan just stepped up and he said, well, right before that happened though, Dan, you stepped up, not bothering him. The man then turned and fell on you this way.
Yeah.
And what was your initial reaction?
My reaction was to push him away from me.
Okay. You didn't push him to throw him out that bus.
No, I just wanted him away from me because basically he insulted my roommate, and I was already angry with him in a way, more of disgust, because he was so slobbery drunk and he was filthy. And at the time, I didn't really understand what I did. I didn't think, I just reacted.
And we should say you were also a little inebriated, so
Exactly.
you just reacted to this. But now why don't you tell them the tenor of the people that got on the bus with you? Because at one point in time, did they not start screaming on the bus, drive away, leave him or something like that? What were they saying?
They wanted to go home. They didn't care that he was laying on the street unconscious. They didn't care at all. And I sat down, I realized he wasn't moving, and dread just filled me. I knew.
Before we do this, dread filled you. Before we go to break, I'm going to go to break after this tape. You eventually got off the bus just to go check on this guy, did you not?
Yes, me and my roommate did. She used to be a nurse's aide.
So you went down to check on him. Take a look at this.
He's lying down on the side. Keep breathing, but I'm not seeing
He
it.
does have a pulse.
He's got a pulse and he's breathing, but he's not moving.
And his eyes are open, his eyes are moving, he is fine. He is fine.
He's drunk. Yeah.
So the assessment was, since he was breathing, his eyes were moving,
Yeah, he was fine.
but the bus driver could not leave until the police arrived.
Exactly.
Let me take a break. When we come back, I want you to tell me what happened when the police got there. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Is the rivalry between your young teenagers beginning to frighten you? If so, call us at 1-800-MONTEL-2. That's 1-800-MONTEL-2.
So Dan, okay, this incident takes place. The police show up. The first thing the police asked for was what?
Asked for an ambulance. They wanted to know if he was, they didn't want to touch him. I even remember they were kind of laughing because you could smell him. It was obviously he was messed up. I remember they were talking to their microphones like that.
And then they asked the bus driver for the tape off the bus.
Yes, they came on the bus, they unlocked the deal under the seat, and I remember distinctly hearing the cops say, "This is all the evidence we need."
So he took the tape.
I tried to come forward. My roommate stopped me from doing so. She told me, you know, you don't want to go to jail tonight. I didn't really know what to do. I was really just kind of like in shock at what happened.
It wasn't for how many months? Well, first off, he didn't pass away that night. 5 days later, he passes away.
Yes.
Did you know about that when he passed away? Did you find out about that immediately?
Oh, I found out by watching the TV news. I was going to go to bed, and just a week later, and here I see my picture on the TV news under the words murder suspect.
And when did the police come to pick you up?
They didn't. I came to them.
Okay.
I turned myself in the next day. And that's when they charged me with homicide. But probable cause 2 days later is let out because, of course, for homicide you have to have a motive. And I didn't know who he was, and so for a month I was in limbo. You know, the detective told me not to go anywhere, and then one day when I was at home on my day off, 2 detectives busted in through my door with guns, yelling felony warrant, you know, and arrested me right there.
Guns drawn?
Guns drawn. I was on the floor, gun right in my head. I mean, about, you know, felt like I was going to have a heart attack and die right there.
You made bail, obviously? Or did you...
Eventually, I was in the Hennepin County Jail for almost 2 months. My public defender got me onto this thing called GPS, Global Position System. I was the second person in the state of Minnesota to be on it, so I was kind of like the guinea pig. And what the GPS is, it's kind of like home arrest, but instead it's like state arrest. You wear this ankle bracelet and you carry this like a backpack, looks like a laptop backpack with you around you. You have to be within 75 feet within the bag, and at night you charge it by plugging into your phone and putting an adapter in the wall.
And then they can check while it's plugged into your phone exactly where you've been all day.
Exactly.
So you were on that, and then what did they do? So you ended up going to trial. Not trial, you ended up being able to plead this.
It was a pre-trial.
Pre-trial. And you pled to what?
I plea bargained to second-degree manslaughter. I went to the Hennepin County workhouse for almost 7 months, and I have 10 years probation, and I still have 48 months of prison time hanging over my head if I screw up again.
In the next 10 years, you can go
exactly,
back to jail.
till 2011.
Please welcome Dan's sister Heidi to the show. Hi, Heidi. During that period of time that he was on house arrest, he was staying with you, is that correct?
Yep.
And so, I mean, just how did your family react to this? How do you feel about this?
It was crazy. I couldn't believe this had happened to him, that this happened, just in general.
A man's life has been
taken,
lost.
Yeah.
I think just the picture itself would say you're culpable. Now, did they say it was from an injury? Would he have a head trauma?
Yeah, he had head trauma. He went into a coma, and they took him off, I think, life support after 5 days. He was in Hennepin, the HCMC, Hennepin County Medical Center.
Looking back at this now, you're out of prison, or you're out of jail, or you're out of the work program. You now have to answer to the fact that you are a felon, right?
Yes.
Now for the rest of your life.
Pretty much, yeah.
And what's that been like for you, man?
It's been literally a living hell for me. It was very tough for a long time. I spent a lot of time in halfway houses, treatment centers. You know, couldn't get a job, and what jobs I could get was usually at a fast food joint. I had to be honest all times. I had to tell them, be upfront about it. I took workshops, any class I could get when I was in the workhouse.
What can we find in this that we could say something good could come out of this? Is there anything that come out of this? Are you talking to people, trying to explain to people, you know, maybe just lashing out is wrong? Where do we see a light in this, man?
This is, when you get in situations, whenever you are in the streets, you know, when you have a homeless person or anyone that comes up to you, anyone who intimidates you, you have to think first. You can't just react. You can't be just instantly negative and lash out at people. There's consequences to that matter. It's not just you worrying about hurting yourself or you getting hurt. It's a matter of what you might do to another person. It just happens without even thinking. A split second, and it will change your life and that other person's life.
And when you look at this tape again on this bus, I think the entire altercation between you and him took about 4 seconds for him to fall on you and to wind up on his back.
Exactly.
And in 4 seconds, everybody's life is different. I gotta take a little break. When we come back, this is kind of what we're talking about today. Things that are caught on tape, but when I say caught on tape, it's way beyond just the average tape. We come back and see a prank that a lot of you may have seen already on CNN or on the news. There's a prank that went really, really bad. Take a break, we'll be back right after this.
Call 911. Paul, are you all right? Dude, his leg's shattered out of his freaking leg, man. His leg's out of his leg.
Well, our next story is about a prank that went too far. I want you to take a look at this. Some of you may have seen this before, and we'll talk about it after you take a look.
Me and my friend Gunto are about to go to Sarasota Square Mall, and we're going to go shopping.
Two friends trying to get on TV by performing outrageous stunts started here at the mall. Later, the stunts got riskier as the two of them jumped off of rooftops, looking for the ultimate thrill.
Go.
Each jump became more and more dangerous. But it didn't stop there.
Go, recording.
Paul took the stunt to a level that almost cost him his life. His friends were watching as they caught the horrific fall on tape.
Oh, dude, that hurt.
Laughing? Paul, you all right? Oh, somebody help. Oh my God. Stay still, stay still. Call 911. Paul, are you all right? Paul, wake up. Paul, wake up.
Put my pants on.
Yeah, we're calling 911. Are you all right, Paul? Calm down. Calm. Dude, his leg's shattered out of his freaking leg, man. His leg's out of his leg. Come on, man.
Please welcome one of the mothers of those boys, Janet, to the show. Welcome her. Before this happened, did the police know about your son's,
What he was doing? Yeah, well, actually, he had the police's attention on a few different occasions. I knew that Paul was doing these things. He was actually training almost, he started with lower houses, jumping off of them. I knew it was going on.
But was training for what? Did he want to be a stuntman? He just wanted to do some prank and be on TV?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure. Just the fact that they were taping it makes me believe that they wanted to sell the video. He wouldn't admit that to me, but I think.
And just a couple weeks before this guy, he tried to do this, was there not a stunt performed on a cable station on television where somebody did something similar to this?
I'm not sure. I'm told that it wasn't this stunt in particular that was performed. There were other stunts, and my son was definitely a big advocate. He did watch those shows. He did go to the Jackass movie and thought it was just the greatest thing in the world. And
so he got jackassed?
Yes.
Because he got on the top of a 3-story building.
The top of a 5th-story building.
5-story building. And then made an attempt to jump off that 5-story building into a swimming pool. He
made it once. He made it on his first jump. Both of the boys up there made it on their first jump, and they went back up to jump again. And the other boys said, "Let's don't jump. We're wet. We could slip." And Paul said, "I think I've got it under control." Well, if you watch the video very closely, his foot hits a metal strip right at the edge of the top of the building, and you could see that little momentary slip, and that was it. And Paul
Take a look.
knew. As he's going down, he said that he knew it was wrong and that he was going to die. And he was trying to tread air and to get his torso over the water. Whether or not it helped that he was going like that, I'm not sure, but that's the only thing that saved him.
Paul, you all right?
Can we back this up and show this tape one more time, please? Let's do it right now. Because watch, he slips on that little piece of metal.
It happens.
And now you see him trying to get out. Now, what you see is it looks like he just hit the water. But what you don't see is that everything from about right here down hit the side of the pool. Correct? And so when he struck the side of the pool, how badly was Paul hurt?
From what I'm told, he never lost consciousness. Fortunately, I guess as fortunate as it could be, his injuries were from the pelvis down. His pelvis was broken in 4 or 5 places. His elbow, the bone came out of his arm and shoved up into his elbow, and several pieces of his elbow were left probably in the pool. They had to put it together. This bone came through the thigh. Both of these bones came through the thigh, and he broke his left heel in 9 places. He had to have subsequent surgery, and they had to piece together his heel. They stabilized these injuries with titanium rods, so he was stabilized pretty quickly.
Is he doing stunts anymore?
He's not really doing stunts, but if you were to ask him, are you going to do anything like this in the future, what he says to me is, as much as it breaks my heart, he says, I won't do that again, but Mom, you can't expect me to just sit down and do nothing. This is what I like to do. Paul is just the type of personality that craves the thrill. He likes the adrenaline rush.
When you first got this tape, I mean, when the tape first came out, people who knew that your son was doing some things like this tried to blame you for this, did they not?
Yes, they did, and I think this happens a lot. I think the parents get blamed. Unfortunately, because I would have liked to have tied him to the bed. That's against the law. I couldn't do that, and that's the only thing I could have done to prevent it would be to tie him physically up, and I can't do that.
And how old was he when he did this?
Paul was, when he did this, he was just 4 weeks after his 18th birthday.
And now he will probably be on, what, arthritis medication now for the rest of his life at age 20.
Yeah, he's already having some problems with his ankles, and they're saying they don't want to start arthritis medication until he turns 20 because there's, you can't take it forever, I suppose.
Right, complications. My God, well, I wish him well, and I hope that he stops thinking about being a jackass.
Exactly, me too.
Here's another one that's just crazy. How about a random act of violence that's caught on tape? People are stupid enough to commit a crime and tape themselves while they're doing it. And unfortunately, there are victims involved in this. We'll take a little break. We'll be back right after we listen. Break. Violence that was caught on tape. Please welcome Ryan to the show first. Welcome, Ryan. Ryan, this was June 5th, and you were headed somewhere. You were just coming back from somewhere, were you not?
Yeah, I was getting ready for graduation, so I just picked up my cap and gown, and I was in the middle of campus, just walking.
On the college campus, this, then I should say, when you say that, you say it lightly, but that day, how many of you graduated from college, the day that you go pick up that cap and gown is like, woohoo, right?
Yeah, no.
You were on cloud 9.
No, it was a good day. I was looking forward to graduation. So.
I'm going to show this tape. So I want you to take a look at this tape. He is walking on the campus, minding his own business. Take a look at this.
Vic, go.
No!
I didn't hit him that hard. I know.
First off, how can you trust people?
There's stuff before on the tape that kind of helps me understand a little bit. They're just goofing around, and you can see them goofing around, and they take it too far. But
I get goofing around, man, but you know what? I'm sorry, sir. That's the kind of crap that I don't care what anybody thinks. This is something that's been happening around the country, too, by the way, folks. This isn't just one random act. It's happened a couple of times. We've seen it on the news. Fortunately or unfortunately, some of these people, I should say unfortunately, the people who are taping this and have done it so many times, we have not caught them with the tape. First off, what happened to the kid who did this? I hope that he was charged with repressed.
Yeah, he was only 17, though, so he went to juvenile hall for 6 months.
6 months. And can we talk about what happened to you?
Yeah, after I got hit, of course, the concern was my face, but it didn't even leave a bruise. But the real issue was that I fell on my hand and broke a bone in my hand. I'm an artist.
You're an artist. And so you're laying there on that ground, and the first thought in your mind is, when you felt your hand, I'm never gonna be able to draw again.
I didn't know, and like I didn't know the extent to it, and you know, like I rollerblade, and my parents always make me wear a wrist guard on my right hand, and it's always like, I mean, you know, it's my livelihood, and if I lose it, then like, I mean, this is what I'm living for, you know.
I know people attempted to make this into a race issue.
Yeah.
Correct? But it really had nothing, that you were a random victim, and the perpetrators just happened to be the color that they were.
Right.
But now that also bodes a question. When you first walked out here, I shook your hand, we talked for a second, I said, thank you so much for being here, and you thanked me. I'm sorry. And I'm gonna say it straight up. I don't understand why you don't have a problem against people like me. Because damn it, if you're just walking minding your own business and somebody walks up, I would have a problem with the person that I can identify. And you have none.
You know, it's more like the age, you know? They're more immature, and they just didn't fully understand what was gonna happen, and, you know, just showing off.
You see that tape? I mean, you've seen this, what, 1,000,000 times,
yeah.
I'm sure. Now that it's long gone, hand is healed, what does that tape do to you when you see it? Does it anger you? Are you concerned about our humanity to man? What comes to your mind? And especially, I love to hear this from an artist, or a person who tries to capture the spirit of what we are. What comes to your mind when you see that tape?
You know, for a while, it did make me very frustrated, because I work hard to treat people how I want to be treated, and then when stuff like this happens, you know, you lose faith for a while. But then, you know, and the next random act of kindness, you know, kind of put your faith back in humanity. So it, you know, it counterbalances, and it.
Well, I truly hope that 1,000,000 random acts of kindness come your way.
Thank you.
I really do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, because I'll tell you, I'm going to go to break, but you just reinstilled my faith in people.
Well, I'm glad I could help.
I mean that. I really do. I got to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Are you a parent who can't handle your children's constant fighting and need help? If so, call us at 1-800-MONTEL-2. That's 1-800-MONTEL-2.
Well, there's a reason why they call it extreme skiing, because when there are falls, they can be dangerous. I want you to take a look at this.
Oh, no. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. He's in big trouble.
That's Garrett cartwheeling over the run.
Oh.
Holy
Right up the bottom of the...
He's out. He's not moving.
Dude.
We need serious help up there.
Dude, please.
He is moving. He's picked up his head.
Come on, dude.
He's better than we think he is.
Oh, my God.
Oh, please. Oh,
Well, Garrett lived through that fall and is back on the slope skiing again. But our next guest also took a terrifying fall skiing. Let's take a look at what happened to him. Take a look at this.
We got a guy going down to him right now. Craig, is he moving at all?
Yeah, his arm is all up. Hang on, dude. We got somebody coming.
Help right now.
I know. They're coming as fast as they can. He's right down below me right here. He's coming.
In a tree?
please welcome Aaron to the show. After watching the first guy, Garrett, take a fall, and looking at that tape, and he gets up and walks away, we look at this one. You know, we got to play the open of that one more time. Do you mind if we see it one more time?
Not at all.
Play the open one more time, if you can. You were in a competition here, correct?
Yeah.
Talk about this.
Let me start by saying that this is terrain that people in their right mind would not be skiing. This is, you know, we're getting paid to do this, and there's a purse, and we're taking risks that normal people wouldn't be taking on the mountain.
When you came around that first corner, you knew something was wrong, did you not? Because I see your tips go up.
As you see, I grabbed the tree, and that's my split second of hesitation, and I didn't really listen to my instinct, and I just went with it, and I paid the price.
When you hit the ground, let's talk about injuries first. How badly were you hurt?
I had a compound fracture of the ulna, and that was sticking through the skin, and then the radius was just, I crushed it really good and lost a big end of my joint on the radius, so I've had about 5 surgeries on my wrist, and last surgery I had a bone graft from my hip and put at the end of my radius, and I broke 6 ribs and my scapula, and scapula is your shoulder blade, and supposedly it's one of the harder bones in the body to break, and 9 out of 10 times they say you puncture your lungs when you break it, and I was pretty lucky. I didn't puncture any lungs.
But you were laying there in that snow spitting the blood there.
Yeah, and the cameramen were about 15 feet away from me, and they see me stabilizing my arm, and my arm didn't hurt at all. It was, I couldn't catch a breath, and I was spitting so much blood, and for about 5 minutes, till the patrol got there, I couldn't catch a breath, and I didn't think I was going to make it.
But the whole time, rather than come to help you, they're sitting there taking pictures.
Yeah, that kind of upset me a
little bit. I would have smacked one of them with a ski when it was all over, I'll tell you that. So now that was, you were going then for your 3rd national championship.
Yeah, that's the U.S. Extreme Championships, and event I've won previously twice in the last 3 years, and I was going for the 3rd win. And
when you see this tape, what do you think when you see this? Do you think that you barely survived this, or? I
think I'm pretty lucky. I mean, 5 more feet, and I would have landed on my neck on the rocks because my feet were just going above my head, and basically I knew in the air that something was terribly wrong, and just got to keep something under there besides my body hitting first, because if I landed on my neck, I wouldn't be walking right now.
Now, I'll ask the silly question. Are you going to do this again?
Yeah, in time. Yeah, for sure.
On the next competition that you compete in, when you go after this Nationals, when you win, send us a tape of you not getting hurt. All right?
Okay.
We want to see that part. Thank you, man. Take care of that wrist. Let's stay right here. Take a break. When we come back, a boy falls through the ice, and his rescue is caught on tape. We'll be back right after this.
For free studio audience tickets, call us at 212-989-8101 or visit our website at montelshow.com.
Is the sibling rivalry between your children beginning to get out of control and you need help? If so, call us at 1-800-MONTEL-2. That's 1-800-MONTEL-2.
Well, please welcome 11-year-old Anthony, his mom, Leanne, and his 13-year-old brother, Christopher, to the show. Welcome, man. Let me start with you, Anthony. You just got home from school, right?
Yep.
And how long have you been there?
15 minutes.
15 minutes. And what do you do when you first get home? You went and let...
Angel out.
Angel is your dog?
Yes.
You let Angel out because, you know...
She was playing with my dog, Samson, my older dog.
Uh-huh.
And then we had bread. So we were throwing it on the ice for the seagulls.
Mom told me to do that, but go ahead. You were throwing the bread on the ice.
And the seagulls...
Seagulls?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They came too close. Angel went after them.
Started chasing after a seagull. So she runs out on the ice.
Yep.
And you're watching her. Now, were you thinking anything was going to happen? You said, she'll come right back.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
We saw, and then she fell in, so I went after her.
The ice broke and she fell in.
So we went after her. Chris said not to go get her.
Well, you were yelling at your brother, don't! Right?
Well, what happened was when he got on the ice, he was running after Angel. And he was going after Angel, and when I said don't, the ice cracked. He slipped and he fell in.
And you plop in. Now, how far away from the shore was he?
He was literally like in the middle of the pond.
So you had gone all the way out to the middle of the pond. When you fell in the water, what happened? I mean, just what was the first thing? Of course, it was cold, but what?
Angel swam up to me, and I pushed her up on the ice.
You pushed Angel, pushed the dog up on the ice?
and
Got her safe?
And she ran home with Chris, and Chris called 911.
But now, okay, he's off in the house calling 911. You're still in the middle of the pond. Dude, what was going on with you in the middle of the pond? But you know, most people after a couple minutes, they go into shock. How come you didn't go into shock? Because you said something.
Because I was very calm.
No, and where did you learn about being very calm?
Science.
And in your science class, they told you what?
If you're in ice, in water, if you get very nervous, you could go easily into a shock.
So you don't want to you don't want to get nervous.
No.
You want to keep moving, keep some part of you out of the water. They told you all this in science class?
Yep.
How come they didn't teach me that in science when I was going to school? And you like had the whole survival kit. So you call 911, and the rescue workers say we're on our way, right?
Well, what really happened was I was sitting there waiting, like not really waiting, but I called up. They asked what's my emergency, and I said my little brother just fell through the ice. And they said that they were going to connect me to the fire department. And while they were connecting me to the fire department, they said, run around the houses asking people if they have rope or see if anybody's home. Okay. So I ran out onto the porch. I told him to keep his head above the water. And he kept...
Can I ask how long has gone by? He falls in the ice, takes you time to run in the house, grab the phone, get the dog out the way, dial 911, conversation. Okay, go find rope. Okay, you turn around and you run back out the house. I'm telling you, a couple minutes probably went by, right?
Yeah, about 3 minutes. And then I'm sitting here knocking him.
Hold on. Tell me, man. He leaves you. You're in the ice. For 3 minutes. What were you thinking? He was going to not come back?
I didn't even bother with him.
You were... break, but let's do this. Let's take a look at your rescue. And Anthony, you can tell us what's going on at the same time. Take a look at this. So the fire rescue guys came out first.
Yep.
And wait, the first person who came out to try to save you, what happened?
They just grabbed me and they said I was very calm. He said he would go in back of me, grab me. So don't worry. And they put me on that sled right there. And some guy asked me if I could walk, which I couldn't, because my whole bottom half of my body was so numb that he just carried me to the stretcher, and they took me into the ambulance.
Now, and really, luckily, Mom, I'll come to you now. How did you know that anything was even happening?
He called me up frantic.
And said what? Anthony's in the ice!
Yes.
And were you at work?
Yeah, I was at work.
And fortunately, we should say that the only thing that you had was hypothermia.
Yep.
And they just warmed you up and...
They just warmed me up, and I was in the hospital for 2 hours, and then they released me.
You're lucky, you know?
I know.
Let me take a little break and come back and tell me a little more. We'll be back right after this. You know, I back up for a second because while you were in ice, the rescue workers or the EMS people showed up. The first person that came out to try to save you did what? They were trying to break the ice, and he fell in, correct?
Yes.
So they had to pull him out. Yep. So they pull him out, and you're still in the water going, yo, what's up with me? Right? So now, Mom, you found out about it. You rushed to the hospital. Did they tell you then that he was going to be okay, or what did you know? What was the first thing you heard?
Heard him screaming and crying on the phone, telling me that he couldn't get Anthony out of the ice. Okay. And he's been in there for about 10 minutes. Aye. So needless to say, there went my hammer, there went my tool belt, and you just took off? I had to have my girl that I work with, she drove me because I couldn't drive.
So you get to the hospital, and obviously you were happy with the fact that he was okay. I go back to, you've told him a million times to not go out in that pond.
As soon as we moved in there, I said, when it gets cold and that goes in ice, do not go out on the pond because it will not be safe.
But to save Angel...
And that's all he said. Mommy, but I saved Angel, and I was just like, oh. That's all he was worried about, was saving Angel.
Well, I think, you know, Chris, you need to be you stayed calm. Now, did you go to the other houses to try to find a rope, or did you
There's like 2 houses around us because we live like right in the woods, and nobody was home.
So you came back and just waited for...
I came back. I couldn't find any rope, no nothing. So I came back. I got on the phone with the lady, and I started talking to her for like 2 seconds. Anthony said, Chris, I'm cold, and I stood up, and I said, Anthony, please just keep your head above the water. And you
were in ice just like this, holding on to all his ice, right?
Yeah.
Keeping your head up, treading water? Did you know if you were moving your legs, or could you even tell? Couldn't even tell. Well, at least there's no residual effects, so congratulations, man. You're one of the only people who survived an ice fall that way. I gotta take a break. We'll be back right after this. For free studio audience tickets, call us at 212-989-8101 or visit our website at montelshow.com. We're out of time, so I want to thank all of our guests for being here. And I would say, I guess, the one thing about all of this, through the tragedies that we have seen, and even in your case, Dan, I guess the shining light is that at least you understood what was wrong with what you did, and I think maybe other people will react to what you said. And if, in fact, you at home have some tape that you want us to show, send it in. We'd love to hear from you. Out of time. Join us on the next Montel.